Hi guys, live today with, you guessed it, what it says above, the Hunter Star for beginners. So we're making a 8-pointed Hunter Star. That means the diamonds aren't made of half square triangles or anything. They come out as diamonds, which makes the 8-point full piece star for the star part, and then the rest of the pieces make the arrow for what then becomes the Hunter Star. So let me get this other thing going. It takes just a second. I'm not like running off of the norm today. I'm really exhausted, and I think I told a lot of people that yesterday. I'm super exhausted and a bit slower than normal, but that'll make it easier for you to follow along. So let me get this going. And I'm not sure if the music is too loud. I'll turn it down. Hi Terry, good afternoon. Yeah, it's definitely afternoon here. It's 2:33, so we're in the beginning of the afternoon. For me, it's like morning because I didn't get out of bed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I was just laying there, and I'm like, ah. So as you can see in front of me, if I move this ruler, this is what we're making. I did not put this together, only because this is not, I'm going to scrap mine up, and I wanted to do a couple blocks so that you guys could see what we're making here. So I kind of just threw a couple together, just random colors, and I guess I didn't pick enough color to make it shine. So for now, I'm just kind of got them together. There's a little too much green in one area that I would normally not put together. So that's why these blocks are not together. So today, from the beginning, this is what we're going to need here, guys. First off, you are going to need a layer cake. That's 42 squares, layer cake of a print. Now I have chose this more older style, I would say a reproduction of older prints. You know, they're really flowers and stuff, and they're more something you would have found in the 40s and 50s, you know, but traditional style prints for quilts, you know. So I have decided to use these. Secondarily, either 106 inches, I know that's an exact number, I think it's 102 inches actually, but a yard and or 3 1/4 yards will, or, so it's an either or, of a background color cut into 10-inch squares as well. So you can buy a layer cake of a solid that goes with your layer cake of a print, and or you can cut it out of 3 1/4 yards, which will give you enough pieces for 10-inch squares. Again, you need 42. You need exactly the same from each one. So we need one of each. So that's not much fabric to make this. And maybe a little bit for a border, which I'm just going to do one border on this when I get to that point, and it's just going to be my background color one time all the way around. So that is all taken care of for me, and it should be for you. So what we're making here, and again, on the needs thing, hi Maxine, I love you too, sweetie pie, is an 8 1/2 inch ruler. Now, if you do not have an 8 1/2 inch ruler, you are, and feel free to use your 12 1/2 or bigger if you have one. But these blocks are going to finish at 8 1/2 inches. So if you have, this one's a Fiskars, but I know a couple other companies make the 8 1/2 inch. This block finishes at 8 1/2 inches exactly when you trim it down. So it's best to just have the ruler the size that you're trimming to. For me, it makes it a lot easier because I was a beginner, like everyone else, for a very long time. So it's easier for me to use the size that I'm coming down to. So 8 1/2 inches is what your block is going to finish at, or else you're going to be measuring and looking for your 8 1/2 inch from your big ruler. So now that I got that taken care of, this is what we're going to need. And then you're going to need your ironing station next to you, because you're going to be going from one place to another, and quite quickly, might I add, unless you are some kind of slow starter sewer, it goes pretty quick, the process of making this. It's not that hard. Yes, it completes an 8-pointed star, which is absolutely amazing to have without any half square triangles. I know there's enough other ways to make this, and it has half square triangles. And you know what? I think the cleaner the look comes from making it this way. And I'm going to walk you through it. So let me move these out of the way, and we can get started. So I'm going to move those out of the way, and I'm going to show you what we're making. What we are making are these 2 different colored half blocks. So from each 10-inch square, you are going to be able to make 2 blocks. So these are the half blocks that we are making right here. And when they come together, it makes 1 block, and then trimmed down to 8.5 inches. So, hi, Mr. Rodriguez. So they're going to come out like this. So we're going to be making 2 separate piles, one with our colors, with our print, and one with our solid. So I'm just going to tell you that now we're making piles. Now let's get to the cutting part. And I'm going to turn my iron on now because this part actually goes really fast. Ugh. Oh my goodness. I told you, I'm not feeling so well today. I'm super tired. So for this, you're going to need a long ruler that can cut across 10-inch squares. So I suggest getting yourself a long ruler that can reach from one side to the other of a 10-inch square. And what we're going to do, since I've already used this color, is we're going to go through our pack. You don't really have to. And you're going to choose 1 10-inch of your print and 1 of your solid. And since, okay, here's another thing for beginners. These pinked edges make the block come out to be just a little bit bigger than the 10 inches that it is supposed to be. So I like to lay my pre-cut that I didn't pre-cut with the pinked edges on the bottom. So that way when I lay my exact 10-inch cut one on top of it, that pinked edge will show ever so slightly. Because when we cut this, we're working with the cuts from the 10-inch square. And you'll see what I mean in just a second. So we're going to lay this here on our mat. And find a rotary cutter. Oh, look at that. It wasn't very far this time. We are making the Hunter's Star. I'll show one more time. We have 1. Now these aren't the colors I'm doing. I'm going to be mixing all my colors up. I just made a couple blocks. But when it lays out, it will create the Hunter's Star, where this is the arrow and this is the star, an 8-pointed star. So this is what we're making, okay? So I'm going to take these out of the way, and let's get to our first cut, because you got to remember these measurements as I'm telling them to you, or you can write them down. So we're going to lay this up, right sides together or wrong sides together. It doesn't matter because your solid doesn't have a right or wrong side. We're just stacking them up. And we are going to take our ruler. Now make sure it's a ruler that fits all the way across, because some rulers, see, doesn't fit all the way across. You make sure that you get a ruler that fits all the way across. So I just prefer to use my 24-inch long ruler. We're going to lay this from corner to corner. And we are going to make our first cut. And what I'm going to do is, without adjusting these fabrics, and look at that, it did not even cut it because I wasn't standing up to push pressure. I'm too tired to get up, guys. Alright. It's just a couple little smidge. Look at that. It's not cutting today because I don't want to stand. Do not do what I'm doing right now, guys. At all. Just standing cut. It's got like this little piece. I got all these cuts in my board from where I cut very often, all the time. All right. Without adjusting your fabric, which I just kind of did, separate them like this, okay? Because now you have two big, huge half square triangles. Keeping your top fabric in a nice line. Then we're going to take our ruler and we're going to look for the 2.5 inch line. Take it to one side. Just over a little because I'm in the way right here. And I want my 2.5 inch line. 2.5, okay? And we're going to line that up right here on the line that we just cut diagonally. So we're going to line that up diagonally and we're going to cut at the 2.5 inch line. On one side, maybe I pressed enough. Yep, look at that. We're going to pull that next one away. And we're going to come to the other side to 2.5 inches. Now I move, instead of flipping my ruler, I go to the 2.5 from the other side as well because there's no half on the end. This is a 6-inch ruler, so it's not very far removed. And I am going to cut the 2.5 inches now on the other side. And I'm going to cut left-handed. Oh, look at that. Just barely missed a spot right there. Okay. I'm going to slide this out of the way, keeping that fabric on that line as best as possible, just moving it out of the way. And then I'm going to find my 8.5 inch ruler because I don't need a big one for this. And we're going to, I guess I'm going to have to stand for this. I'm going to come over on this one right here, slide it over just slightly, and don't worry about that pink edge that's showing. The measurements you're cutting from are from your solid fabric. And I'm going to come over 2.5 inches on that solid fabric, okay? Right here from this edge. And I'm going to make a cut right here. I'm going to separate it just a little. So now we have a diamond right here. And then I'm going to come in again, right here, 2.5 inches on this next piece. And even if you want, you can align your 45-degree line, which is the center line. If that lines up on the top, then you know you're good. Today is sure a lot of left-hand cutting. Look, it didn't separate. Really need to clean my board, guys, my mat. And then we're going to come over. So now here's your line still. This is what it would look like if it was together. See? Now, I'm just pulling them away so that I don't cut any other piece. We're going to come over here to the other side, and we're going to cut 2.5 inches from the other side. You see that, guys? From this side, we're going to make another diamond right here and cut 2.5 inches. And I'm going to separate that. And then we're going to come over to this one. And we're going to cut 2.5 inches right here. Make sure your corner goes past the top of your block. That's where I said that 45-degree line works perfect. Just coming over 2.5 inches and making a cut. So now you have pieces that look kind of funny. But if you put them all together, you have a block again. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. Here's where the fun begins. Move all these rulers out of the way. We are going to take and make 2 piles right here from this bottom one, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to take a solid from the top and stick it with your background color or your print fabric. And again, from the other side, put it with your print fabric. Now, the prints, you're going to pull over to your solid. Then the centerpiece, you're going to put your solid over with the prints, and the last print with the print. See where I'm going here, guys? So, we're going to do this again with these pieces now. Put your solid right here, keeping the print right here. And we're going to take the solids and put them with the print. have them upside down, which I didn't mean to. And then we're going to take the prints, put them over with this one, and then the solid, where the solid big triangle is, and the print, where the print triangle is. See where this is going now? Now we should have 4 units, which makes 2 blocks. 4 units that look really funny, but just remember, putting them together is the easy part. Okay, so we're going to start with this one right here because it's closest to me. We're going to turn it around because you always want your project facing you. Remember, I always remind you guys that you want your projects facing you. So I'm going to turn all of these to face me. Okay? So they're all facing me. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take this centerpiece, this funky looking piece, we're going to lay it up here with us. And we're going to grab a diamond from one or the other side. And we're going to lay it right here. Now, as I've shown before, as with any diamonds, as soon as you fold it over, you want 1/4 of an inch. See this? When I lay it on here, you want that 1/4 of an inch sticking out on either side. Now, if you don't know where your 1/4 inch is, take your ruler and lay it on there and put it at the point, and if it's at 1/4 of an inch, you know you're correct. Okay? We're going to turn it around. If you want to pin it, you can, but I'm just going to stick it under the machine, and if my needle comes down exactly at that tip where those pieces V, I'm good. And we are going to put some pressure on the machine. I was free motion quilting last night. I totally forgot about that, or else I'm not going to sew anything. My machine has a pressure gauge for the presser foot, so I can make it tight or loose. So I forgot to put it back last night. So I'm going to come across here and sew 1/4 of an inch. Now there's a very important tip here. You need to keep your 1/4 of an inch either as perfect as you can get it with some kind of guide, and or you need to measure your machine to make sure you're sitting at 1/4 of an inch, or follow your 1/4 inch line that's on your presser plate, because it's really going to matter with this project when it comes to aligning all the squares together in the end. So we got it at 1/4 of an inch. Now pressing, the fun part. We want all of our fabric not to our background color that we chose. We want it going towards our printed fabric. That's right, it's going to go inward. And I'm just going to give it a little finger press so it lays flat when I come over here to my machine, or to my presser, my iron, because I have my fan on. And I'm just going to run this over here. Get that seam nice and flat. And if you did it correctly, you will have a straight line here, a straight line here. Now we're going to take that next piece to the other side. I'm going to flip it on here with 1/4 inch on each side. We want those ears exactly matching on each side. Enough sticking out. We're going to roll it over to the machine. I'm going to sew down that side. And again, I'm going to lift it and flip that print fabric back, because I want my print fabric, this piece needs to be pressed inward. And you'll get where I'm heading in just a minute. We're going to press that back without stretching or pulling, because everything is stretching. This block wise, doing it this way, it is, yes, a lot of bias seams from the way we're cutting it. Again, we have a nice straight line. Then I'm going to take a little pair of scissors and I'm going to snip away these dog ears. Why? Because we need to when it comes to joining the blocks together. So I'm just going to do that step now. And I have a really long string right here from starting. Now we're going to take that big triangle, and look, it looks big. It really does. It's quite larger than the piece, but don't worry, because it's going to set in. This block will get trimmed down. So we're going to flip that right sides together. Now if you want, okay, for beginners, you can take fold that piece exactly in half and finger press, a center line for a reference point. Open it up and then take this one, lie it exactly in half, and finger press a little point in that too. That way, when you bring these together, that little point groove that you just made will lay together, and then you take a pin, and you can put your pin in there right at that center. Now you know each side has the exact same because you did it that way. I kind of just eyeball it normally. Since you're a beginner, I guess it's okay to pin. Then we're going to take that over to the machine, and we are going to sew that on 1/4 inch. You got to keep your 1/4 inches seam consistent with this whole thing, or these blocks will not line up properly. That is one tip I got to make sure I reiterate on, because it is very important to keep that 1/4 inch seam. And now, fold that back, and we have an arrow block. So I'm going to take it up here. I'm going to press that seam, set it, and I am going to carefully roll it back. I'm going to add just a little bit of seam, and don't mind my squealing iron because it just never quits. It loves to squeal. I'm not going to stretch, pull, or tug. I'm just going to slide it over that. And now we have 1/2 of the block. So now this one's done. Let's just move it out of our way, and we're going to grab another piece, sliding the finished one out of the way. Now we're going to repeat that same process. So I'm going to separate them. This one is going to go over here, just like this, right sides together. Bring it up to me. If you don't think you have it, you could always put a pin in it. If you just hold it and slide it over to where you need to go, it should stay in the spot. Now this one will get pressed to the printed fabric. So this one will be pressed outward. And again, you will understand why when we get to the construction of the block. So I'm going to press that back. I'm not going to yank, tug, or pull. Give it just a shot of steam. And now I'm going to place it back in front of me the way it goes. Grabbing that next piece from over here because it's still in front of you the whole time. I'm going to grab that next piece, which goes on this side. I'm going to lay it right sides together, keeping that point on each side. It's like a little V. Just turn it around, come over to the machine, and that V should come right where my needle goes down. Sew down that at 1/4 inch. And again, I'm going to press this block towards the print fabric. And if my fan would stop blowing pieces, then it would be a little bit better, but I need the fan on because of all these lights on me, so that you guys can see me nice and clearly. Okay, so now we have our odd elongated piece. Again, I'm going to trim off these dog ears. I'm going to lay my block down. I'm going to go, oh, okay, this goes here now. So you can either fold it in half or you can guess. Guessing, I usually just go, okay, that has that amount and that has that amount. They're the same on each side. You can see it. And my fan is trying to blow it away from me. I'm going to lay it down and we'll sew 1/4 inch down that seam. This one, we're not going to worry about it, it just gets pressed back. So this one is, when you get to this triangle piece, this is the piece that gets pressed back. It's no big deal on this one. Now, we're going to repeat all these steps over again, and I will show you how to construct the two pieces when we get that far, because I'm going to be doing Scrappy, but if you wanted, you could put a like colors together. I'm not doing that. So I'm just going to skip the next step and go straight to piecing the other two pieces. So I'm just going to lay those aside. I'm going to bring this down to me. And I'm going to bring these two pieces in front, right sides together. Coming in at that V. Trying to hold it together nicely. And so 1/4 inch down that side. Again, when your printed fabric is in the center of this arrow block, you want to press the fabric towards your print. So I'm just going to finger press it for a second to hold it where I want it to go. I'm going to bring that iron right over it, press it down. Bringing my next piece to me. You'll know it's the next piece because there is only 4 pieces when you're constructing this half a block. So, right sides together again. Same amount on each side. Flip it around. Sew down that side. Again, since this one is being pressed towards the print, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a finger press without stretching or pulling. I'll lay it in front of me on my iron. And I'm going to roll that back nice and tight. We don't want no folds or pleats in that piece. And again, we're going to trim off these dog ears at this point. Doing it at every piece, it might take that extra minute and extra step, but it gets them out of the way for when we get these steps done. So now we're going to take that big triangle and go, oh, it doesn't look right. Obviously it will, because we're going to lay it right sides together. And again, I'm going to show you again, you can fold it in half onto itself and make a little crease with your fingernail or pad of your finger, just a good enough crease. Taking the other one, right sides together, find that half, that means both of the diamonds will meet up. Put a little crease right there. Open it up, lay the creases right on top of each other. That is how you have it exactly center. And then you would take a pin, put it right there at that crease, just like that, holding it together. Now make sure your block is aligned nicely, which it should be. Bring it over to the machine. So 1/4 inch down that side. And making sure you pull that pin right before you get to it. Again, this one gets pressed back. So I'm just going to heat up that seam. It helps it lay nice and flat because it heats up that thread and relaxes what you just sewn, and any bumps, folds, and like when you're sewing, it causes little ripples sometimes in your fabric. We don't want any of those ripples, so preheating that seam folded in half will get rid of all those ripples. So now we have another block. Okay, so I'm going to take it and throw it into its pile. Bring the next one to me. See, they match perfectly because you just cut it, but you got to get rid of those seams. So we're going to move them apart. Grab that first one, right sides together. Slide it to where you have the same amount, making that V. Come down that side. And this one just gets pressed back. And we'll create a long straight line. We'll get rid of that dog ear now. Lay it in front of us, knowing that this other piece goes on this side. It's so simple, very, very simple. It's very, very easy to get it right every time. Because when both of these are folded together, also, if you sew one side or the other, it makes fangs. So that's how you know you got it correct. If it's making fangs. It's like a reference thing to know when you put them together. Go down that side, press this one back. I'm not pulling or tugging, I'm just kind of laying my iron right on top of it, making sure that it's nice and flat. Add a little bit of steam if you need to. I'm going to trim off that dog ear. Now you'll know if you have it wrong, because if you put this together like this, you definitely have it wrong. So there's only one way to lay this, and that's with your diamonds facing outward, making and completing a square. So again, we're going to lay it right sides together. And we're going to match up the same amount on each side, or you can fold it in half and pin it. I got the same amount on each side. I'm going to lay it right here, holding it nice. And I'm just going to sew down that side. No pulling, tugging, or stretching. Just letting the machine do the work for you. Now I'm going to press this back. Give it a little bit of steam, heat that up. Make sure there's no wrinkles, folds, or pleats. Press the iron over this. Again with the squealing, like always. And there we have it. So there's 4. And I'll repeat this whole thing all over again. So now, since I'm going scrappy, I am going to grab another color from my pile. So since this one has the yellows, which is my color is butter, my background color, and it has the print here and my solid here, I'm going to grab a piece that has the solid on the inside, just like this. And I think I'm going to grab a different color. I don't like those two together. Let's see. Oops, that's not even the right one. I need one with the yellow on the outside. I don't like that one. This is the one I wanted. These two together. For some reason, this one doesn't look right, but we're going to make it work. So when we lay these right sides together, the reason why we pressed these on this piece in and these on this piece out towards the print is because it is going to allow these two pieces right here to nest, creating a nice nested seam straight across, making that nice line. So I'm going to keep those nested, and if you want, you can throw a pin in it right here at that junction where those two seams come together. You throw a pin in it to hold it together, and then you take the other side and throw a little pin in that too, keeping those seams together. Oops. Lining those ends. Now this pinked edge right here, this is where I said that having the pinked edge stays on the outside, is because you have a nice straight cut here. That fabric comes to that inner point of that pinked edge. It's hard for you guys to see, I know, because I don't have any camera angles just yet, but that pinked point comes together and it meets up with the fabric. That's where we want it to lie. On both sides, same thing. So we're going to bring this over to the machine. We're going to sew a 1/4 inch right down it. So what I'm doing essentially is hooking 2 together, matching these 2 seams right here. Okay? So I'm going to come down nice and slow, pull my pin out because it's kind of sitting in here crooked, holding that seam together. Sew down this side. Make sure my ends come together just the way I want them to. Come right up to that pin, pull it out. Okay, let me press this real quick and then I'll get to that math part that I attempted to figure out. So I'm going to press this while it's still in half, and then I am going to roll it back. keeping it nice and flat, and then I'm going to turn it straight on my board so that I can iron the rest of the block with a little bit of steam. Okay. And there we have it. One block, and these centers right here, I don't know if you can see my points, but my points come together perfectly. And if you do it, if you keep that 1/4 inch seam consistent through the whole entire thing, your points will match up every time. Now, unfortunately, on my other ones, my first couple pieces, they weren't exact because the outsides aren't going to match. The insides match, but my outsides aren't going to be perfect because of my trimming. But I was tired that night trying to put all this together so that I could have somewhat of an idea to show you guys. But I will fix all that. Okay, so we have one block completed, and I will answer Miss Rodriguez's question here. Let me open my little... Hi, Teresa. How are you? Okay, let me answer. This is my little quilt notebook for what I want to do live for you guys. So, Hunter Store. So the blocks come out 8.5 inches. 9 across by 9 down is what I'm doing, which is going to give me a remainder of like 4 pieces. So it should be 9.5, 8.5 times. It should be 70 something ish square once put together. That's my math. I'm taking out my 1/4 inch seams for every block. So it should come around 70 by 70 because I'm doing 9 by 9, and then I'm going to add a 2-inch border. So this should be a full size, pretty much, with 1 layer cake of print and 1 layer cake and or yardage of the solid. So I don't have any other extra things I wrote down here. So these things are in my head. I remember how it's put together. So I wrote it down to make sure that I'm telling you guys and explaining you guys just perfectly. So, yeah. Okay. And Teresa, you already know what we're working on, so. Alright, let me put this away. Am I getting it all correctly here? So, let's take another piece. Let's put these 2 together. How about that? We're going to add 2 more. We're going to put these together, right sides together, making sure that you have 1 print and 1 solid. You want your diamonds to come up opposite, or else you're going to have a big jumbled mess of, you know, your background next to your background. So I'm going to lay these right sides together. I'm going to nest this seam right here. I want it, you can feel the junction, like it literally lays flat. There's no bumps. If you had it wrong, I could feel a big, huge thud of fabric. Just that ever so slightly tug, and it pulls it together. I'm going to take a pin and throw it in there right at that junction. I'm going to make sure my pin faces a different way this time so I don't sew over it. I'm going to take this other junction. You got to remember that all these triangles that are cut this way and all these pieces that are here, you see that stretch? You guys can see it. It starts to bow, like that stretch. You don't want that stretch, so try not to yank your pieces out of place. They should lay nice and flat on top of each other. I'm going to grab another pin, and I grab 2. And I'm going to stick that in right at that juncture and come out. So they're pinned together. And these ends, like I said, your pinked edges are going to come right at that fabric. So don't worry about those pinked edges. It may look like it's off a little, but don't worry about it. And plus the whole block gets trimmed anyway. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to sew 1/4 inch down that side. And for those of you who cannot sew straight, I've showed you guys this before. This little magnet thing, see how it looks funny? I'm trying to hold it in my hand just right so you can see it. It's a little magnet. This is what it looks like. Oh my gosh, Dave. So this little lip right here on the front of this magnet, this little lip, helps keep my fabric. So if I'm sitting sideways, you know how it goes right here? If my fabric just happens to be this way, that little lip right there pulls it back straight again. And then this obviously helps pick up the magnet. So on the back it has this magnetic piece. So it sits on your presser plate. And I always line the line right here up with the line I'm looking for. So mine is 1/4 inch, and I just slide my magnet over 1/4 inch. Leave it right there, line where it's supposed to be, with my little piece sticking down and out on the bottom, because that thing helps you guys. So people who can't sew straight or have shake problems like I do, this little magnet was a lifesaver, and it was only $1 on Wish. Just go on wish.com and they have them on $1. Just type in sewing machine magnet or something like that and it'll come up. If I knew how, I would put a link in it below, but I don't know how to do that yet. I just barely learned how to put my Facebook link and my Etsy shop link. So sooner or later I'll figure it out and we'll get those on there so that you guys can buy the little magnets, because it's $1 with $1 shipping. So $2 for a piece that helps you keep a straight line every time. To me, that was me. I bought it 3 years ago and they still have them, so they could probably be free by now, because there's a lot of free stuff with $1 shipping on Wish. So I'm going to sew down my 1/4 of an inch. Not forget to pull these darn pins out. I get so close to them. Yes, it's a very amazing piece to have for people who cannot, for the life of them, like me, sew a straight line. I've tried paying attention to the 1/4 inch line on my presser plate, and I just can't do it. It's like my eyes come out of focus, and my hands just shiver and shake, and it just makes everything all the more hard. But they also have, a lot of machines have this foot right here, which is the 1/4 inch presser foot, which has the line built into it. But you know what? This 1/4 inch on this machine, when I measured it from here to here, it seems like it's just a smidge bigger. So I use this for projects that I don't care about my 1/4 inch, like just hooking a bunch of blocks together and be done with it, as long as they all come out consistent. This is the one I use when I'm piecing just regular squares. But when I have dog ears hanging off things, I don't really use this piece. So, but this is the one that comes with most. Some have a little straight line, a piece of aluminum or metal. I don't know what these even are made out of, but some just have a straight little piece that sticks out. Mine has this thick chunk thing. So, oh, did you find me, Tracy, on Instagram? For those of you who are just joining, my Instagram is TattooTiff, TATT, the number 2, TIFF, all one word. And I'll go on there, Tracy, when I'm done here, and I'll accept it. I don't know how to do it. I gotta unprivate it or something, I don't know. I always get the requests. I guess it's always there, I don't know. I've never gone through the settings. Yeah, see, this machine is a straight needle. I can't move it side to side, so there's no adjusting this one. I can on my brother, though. But I'm in a house where it's cool, and it's still like 104 in my garage right now, so there's no point in me being out there. Let's see if this thing's still on. You know what I love about my shark iron is it stays on for like an hour. It literally does. Like, as long as I'm using it. If I stop for like 15 or 20 minutes, it might go off, but it'll literally stay on for like an hour. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it straight in front of me. I gotta start mixing more of these colors up because I'm doing Scrappy, but I'm trying to show you guys how these blocks come together and put together a couple so that we can trim them down. And then we'll repeat the whole process. Alright, so there's block number 2. Done. And again, because I pinned it, I think my pinning is helping with my points, which I guess beginners should be doing. I'm not a pinner. I don't like to do it, but my points are 10 times more accurate when I do, so. Alright, so because I don't have enough mixture of colors, I'm going to put those aside and show you guys how to trim this. And I guess I'm going to have to stand because, yeah, I guess I need to put a little bit of weight. As you can tell, I don't know if you guys can see on camera, but I have gouges and cuts. Like, I really use the crap out of my boards. I have 3 Fiskars mats like this, and I just kind of move them around when I need to in areas out in the garage. And yeah, they have... I've had places where I've taken and fussy cut, and I've the same piece over and over again, right in the same area. And yeah, let me tell you, it puts the gouges in. I just have to wash them and it comes right out. But all right. Hi Diane, how are you today? Sorry, I didn't get a chance to scroll up. Yeah, it doesn't mess up. If you're talking about that little piece, it doesn't mess up computerized stuff. I've been using it on all of my computerized machines and it hasn't done that. It's just a magnet and it hooks to the presser plate, which I don't think there's any computerized stuff in machines as much down in the bottom of the machine as there is when you take apart the top of the machine, which I've done plenty of times. There's computery stuff up there. So, yeah. It's usually up in the top area and down the side. It's usually not in the bottom unless it's something specific for tension. So, all right. My iron does squeak, like literally. Every time I press the button, you hear that? It's so horrible. I've tried cleaning it out with vinegar, baking soda, some other iron cleaning stuff. It's literally not. It's not on the outside of the holes. You can't see anything out here because it's a metal plate. But inside the holes, between the water thing and this piece, which I'm not going to touch because it's super hot, there's something clogging it, so it squeals at me. I don't know how to get it out. We have hard water here. It's just going to do it all over again. So it still works. It still steams. I'm going to still use it. Ooh, it's raining. I want rain. Send me the rain over here. We need some here in Arizona. All right, guys. Okay, so let's get to the trimming part. Remember, your 8.5 inch ruler. If you don't have an 8.5 inch ruler, it's okay. Just use your bigger one, but make sure you have your eyes on if you need them. Because you're going to make sure that you're getting it where you need to be cutting. So I'm just going to use the size that my block is coming out to, because as you can tell, when I lay it on here, it's literally ever so slight of a cut that we're trimming off of here. So we're going to lay it on here. I'm going to lay it just like this because I want this 45-degree line. I want that coming across my block like this. So it's coming across right down the center. I'm going to stand up for this part, guys. I have thread all over my beautiful little dress today. Can you tell I love the color purple? My purple and skull front dress. I love it. It's so cute and it's very comfortable. So we're going to lay this on here. And it's going to kind of be a little wonky, you know. But all you're looking for is that 45-degree line straight across your block. Now, on your background, you're going to notice it's exact where it needs to be. So it's exactly right there. And you're going to notice on this side where your background is in your diamonds, you're going to notice that is exact. So that is your 8.5 inch reference start point if you're using a bigger ruler. So I'm just going to hold this down nice and taut, and we are going to go all the way around this darn little sucker here. Making sure we get the dog ears and all with it. I'm going to switch to my left hand. And look, when I pull this away, you'll see that I barely am cutting anything off. So, look at this. Some of this is just the pinked edging. This is all that we cut off of it. That's it. See that? And then the dog ears, obviously. So, these little pieces, that's it. Just a little bit of scrap. Shake that off. And that is our 8.5 inch block. So let's do that again. And grab it again. Grab another one. Lay it this way because I know that's the way my 45-degree angle is. I'm going to lay it on here. This line is lining up. This line is lining up. And this one, wow, that one actually stuck out just ever so slightly. Some of them aren't going to be perfect. So I'm going to cut down there, holding my ruler as perfect as can be. A little bit of pressure, come down all the way around. I'm not going to move it, adjust it, or any of that. And again, remove this out of the way. All these little pieces are going to come off. And that one's kind of stuck right there. Just going to ever so slightly get that little piece off. Look at that, this one even had smaller shreds. So there we go. And we'll start this whole process all over again in just 2 seconds. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like with a little bit more mixture of color in here. So, let's see. I'm laying them out. I don't want to use that one because that one has that. We'll throw this one right here. Throw all this in the garbage. Ooh. I have my little handy dandy trash can right below me. Let's put this one here and this one. See, I'm putting too much of the same colors next to each other. Oh well. It'll get more mixed up later when I add different pieces. So there is a different 8-point star right here, guys. 8 points. There's no half square triangles in this. So it makes it so much easier. The only half square triangle you're technically making is hooking the 2 blocks together. So it makes a beautiful 8-pointed star, and I'll show you how to put these blocks together once I get a little bit more mixture of color here. But we're going to walk through all these steps one more time for those that have just joined. Makes your beautiful hunter's arrow in all corners, and then when you join blocks together, it's going to do the same thing. It's just going to repeat itself over and over and over. So let's move these out of the way, and we're going to grab another color, and this time I'm going to grab a color that I haven't done yet out of this pile. I'm going to grab my handy dandy layer cake, and we're going to choose, I already did that one, we're going to choose this one. It's pretty green. Really, really pretty green. Yeah, that's why it's called the Hunter Star, because it has the arrows in it, making it Hunter, and then obviously the 8-pointed star. I'm going to grab a background. So remember, this is using a layer cake 42-inch square, 42 10-inch square layer cake, and then you can either cut yardage to make your own layer cake. I put it on a piece of cardboard from another one, just to keep it nice and flat and move it around easier. You cut your own yardage, which is 3 1/4 yards, will get you 42 10-inch squares, technically more, because you only need 102 inches of fabric to make 10-inch squares. So we need 42 of those and 42 of a print. So a solid and a print, guys. Or you can use a print with your prints, just something that's reads as a solid, you know. There are plenty of prints that read solid. Oh. There's that bad cough that hasn't gone away. Hold on 2 seconds. It's so bad that it tastes gross now. Ugh. Raining too where you are, Miss Rodriguez. So are you? And let's see. Try and scroll through here. So Diane and Miss Rodriguez, are you guys close if it's raining where both of you guys are? Rainy, hot, and muggy. I don't like the hot and muggy part. I don't mind the rain, so when it does rain here, it is hot and muggy. So we're going to start all this all over again. So I'm going to show you and walk you through this process again. Remember, my fabric has pinked edges, and most of your guys' layer cakes probably will. We are aligning your 10-inch square, unless you get two layer cake packs that both have pinked edges, then you're doing good there. My pinked edging is going to stick out because some of these blocks have shifted and they just don't sit right. So we're going to lay this on the mat, and we're going to take our long ruler, because make sure you have a long ruler. Like I said, your shorter rulers, especially if you have these big squares, they don't reach from corner to corner, and our cut is corner to corner, so make sure you have something long enough for 10-inch squares. And I'm going to lay this from corner to corner, and I'm just going to stand and do this one, guys. Yes, ACs do work better when it's raining because it's already cooler out, and the AC is getting plenty of cold rain hitting inside of it and moving it around in all of its parts. Alright, so what we're going to do here, align those corners, and we're going to make our first cut. And this time it should have cut all the way through because, yep. And I'm just going to slide that one a little bit out of the way. And now I'm going to take my ruler and come over 2.5 inches. I'm going to say this again, 2.5 inches from, I'm working on this piece right now. We're going to go along this long edge we just cut, and we're going to come over 2.5 inches. And we're going to make another cut. I'm going to separate that piece without adjusting the fabric. Try to keep them laying as tight as they were. I'm going to come over to this side, and we're going to do 2.5 inches off of this one now. Line that up nice and tight, right there on that edge for 2.5 inches. And slide down that. I'm going to move that out of the way. Now I'm going to take a smaller ruler, and I'm going to come over right here to this edge, and from your background fabric, not your other piece, that one pinked edge is going to be sticking out. You want to do it from your background fabric. You also want to make sure your ruler goes over the top. I'm going to lay the 2.5 inch line across that line right here. So now I'm making a 2.5 inch diamond right here. I'm going to cut that, slide that out of the way ever so slightly, keeping those pieces together. I'm going to come over to this one, and that 45-degree angle on some angles will line up. I'm going to measure it and lay that 2.5 inch line on my background fabric, only because I know that was cut at 10 inch square properly. I'm going to slide that out of the way. Then we're going to come over to this one. 2.5 inches on that line. And we're going to cut this off. All these are 2.5 inches from your, when you make that center cut, everything else is 2.5 inches. Okay, guys? Move that out of the way. I'm going to line this one up here at 2.5 inches. You're creating just diamonds and some weird tail looking thing. We're going to slice that. And the reason why we're slicing and moving these out of the way, because we don't want to accidentally cut those. So now we have these funky pieces again. And what are we going to do with them? We're going to put them in organized piles. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to move these out of the way because I'm not starting with those. We're going to start with these. We're going to pull one here, and one over here. Then we're going to take, mine is the butter color, our background that we chose, put one here, one here. Then you're going to take this one and go to the other side with it because you want that yellow or butter or background color with the background color. And then you're going to take the print and put it with the print. Then you're going to take the background again on this one and put your print over on this one. That way they're opposites of each other. And since I want everything facing me, I'm going to turn this around and turn this around, keeping them facing me. Now I'm going to separate these two, keeping them facing me, and I'm going to put my background with the background with the print, and my print with the background, like that, and then the background with the little two print over here, and the print with the print. So background with background, print with print, print with print, background with background. I'm making 2 blocks out of every 10-inch square. And I'm just going to leave them laying right here in front of me. We're going to do this all over again. And I am so glad I chose this butter color. It kind of seems old-fashioned, obviously. But, and I'm not really much into traditional, but I have to do them either way because I need to break things up and change things up. But every single one of these pieces in my print selection goes amazing with this color. Like, it literally pops it up. And I know this is just a plain, my husband says, what are you going to use that for? It's kind of ugly. But I had it in mind, and I found it in my layer cake stack, and I said, oh wow, this looks amazing. So yeah, every single one of them, it just makes it pop. So this one's more about making my printed fabrics just pop. So again, we're going to take these, we're going to do this differently now. I'm going to take both of them, I'm going to lay them over, creating vampire teeth, guys. We're going to lay this, we're going to show you a different way at the same time as it's the same thing. We're going to take a pin, We're going to lay it in this one, lining it up where it needs to be, just to keep it right there. We're going to take a pin into this one. Lay it right where we want it to be. Throw the pin in that. See? So now we have created vampire teeth, keeping our pieces together. And I'm going to sew down this one. My V should come right at that needle. That junction comes right at that needle. I'm going to sew down this, pulling out my pin, and it comes out at the end, exactly at that. Now I have my pin in it, so I do not need to press it. I'm just going to turn it around, pull my pin out. There's two ways you can do this. You can be a pinner, or you can just throw them on there. So now both of these, we're going to press inward. So make like a weird, funky thing, pressing that inward towards your printed fabric. You want it in towards the printed fabric because that's going to help those seams. I'm just going to give it a little finger press because my fan blows things out of the way, so it makes it easier for me to just give it a little finger press first, keeping that piece lying flat. Flip it over to get the other side, and making sure there's no pleats folds, runovers, mismatched sewing lines, you know. And then while we have it in our hand, we're just going to cut off these little dog ears. A little pair of snips like this work great for getting dog ears off just right. Now remember, here's the next piece. You cannot get it wrong. There's no way you can put it on this side. There's no way at all. I mean, you could, but it'd be way off. We want it on this top side, at the shorter side, right here, the top corner, which is the shorter side of your print fabric. And again, we're going to fold this in half, creating a little crease so you know where your center point is. We'll do it again with this, making a center point right here. Just use your finger right at that edge, and we're going to right sides together, put those 2 points together. We're going to throw a pin in there. This is the pin it every time process, by the way. I'm going to throw a pin right there where I creased those two. So that makes me have an equal amount on both sides. Okay? You take it over to the machine, right sides together, 1/4 inch seam, sew down that side. Pull the pin out before I get to it, or else I'm going to run it over. I guess my little magnet thing won't let me run over pins, honestly, because it gets stuck and it'll distort my fabric. Okay, leaving it folded in half, bring it up to your machine because, okay, see how you can see this? See that wobbling right here? You can see it lifted. Like I could literally take my scissors and put that edge under there because that's what sewing that seam does. It kind of ripples it just a little, especially if you're using 100% cotton fabrics. It's going to pull a little bit tight, especially with the smaller stitch length too. I'm using a smaller stitch length because I've been doing that lately and actually have nice tight pieces, so it's actually working out great. It's just harder to seam rip them if I mess up. But it messes it up, so we want that to be ironed just like this first because I want to relax that right there. Just a little bit. Now see how it's so flat now? There is no wrinkles, fold, nothing. It lays it so super flat. Plus it's pre-warmed for when you fold it back. And it folds back so much prettier. Comes really nice. Let's give it a little shot of steam. A little shot of squeak, I mean. Oh, it's so funny. It's trying to tell me something. It's trying to tell me, Tiffany, you need to get a new iron. No, I don't have the money. Alright, so we have that piece done. We're going to throw that out of the way and bring another one to us. So again, we're going to pull these together right on top of each other so you don't lose your pieces on this one. This is a different way, but it's the same exact thing. And we're going to create our little vampire teeth right in front of us. Trying to be as accurate as possible with you guys on different ways that you can do this because everybody sews differently. I have it set like a 1.8. The machine doesn't have, mine has a dial. So My dial, I have it at the notch right before the 2, so that's pretty much 1.8. I'm going to throw my little pins in. But yeah, I have it really small because lately I've noticed my smaller stitch length is helping. I don't know, it's just helping. It's helping things come out differently. Because when I was using a 2 or a 2.5, which is what I use on a, like just regular block-to-block sewing, it just didn't seem right. It seemed like there was more waviness. It wasn't laying as flat. So I started adjusting it smaller, and even though it's harder to seam rip, like let me tell you, it's harder to seam rip the smaller the stitch length, but for some reason it's laying differently. So there's a trick from me to you. It lays differently with the smaller stitch length than it does with the bigger one. Plus I do a lot of pre-cuts, and I cut those pre-cuts after I sew them, so the smaller stitch length also keeps it from ripping apart, you know, so when you subcut things. Anyways, I'm going to take my little vampire fangs here, sew my 1/4 inch seam down the side. So I'm explaining this good enough for you guys. I'm trying to do it in more than one way, so it makes it easier. See, now I'm going to leave it right here. I'm going to flip it over, sew that other side, pulling that pin out. And these ones are going to get pressed out because we want it on this piece. So I'm just going to take it over here, pre-do a little seam right there, fold that one back. I'm going to flip it over and fold this one back. Give it a little bit of seam. That's a little bit. That's just a little bit. My pins are magnetizing to my scissors. How weird is that? It goes to show they sit in the little magnet thing so long. They get stuck to everything. We're going to trim off these dog ears, everyone. Slide them out of the way. Again, you cannot mess this up. The smaller part right here of the tip of your arrow is going to be sitting at the top. That's how you know that's the top every time. Everything comes as if it's going to hug you. It's open at the top. So, as if it's hugging you, you want that coming out. See, I'm really good at this, ain't I? I have all sorts of little, like Jenny Jones says, mantras. I have all sorts of those to go with my sewing. So, okay, I'm not going to fold this, but I'm going to show you it's an equal amount on each side. Okay, I'm just going to lay it right on there. I'm just going to 1/4 inch down this side. Now you could have folded it in half, but I didn't this time. And I just realized that I broke a nail with all this finger pressing and stuff. My nails break so easily. Oops, I already pressed that. Duh. I'm going to lay it here. Give it a little hotness. And roll it back. I'm not going to pull either. No pulling. Just roll it back and hold it in place. Because if you pull on it, you're just going to distort your fabric. Okay. So there's another piece. So if you were putting these two together, doing similar colors, you're going to have a similar block. So you could do that since most layer cakes come with like 4 of each color. You can actually do that. But I kind of prefer the scrappy look when it comes to the Hunter Star. The last time I did it super scrappy, and it was super adorable because it was made with blues and whites. So, alright, we're going to bring this to us. Take these 2 pieces, make some vampire fangs, put it up next to me, and this time I'm not even going to put a pin in it. We're going to show you how to just hold it there, right where you want it. So 1/4 inch. Notice without the pin, my piece didn't even move. It just slightly jumped around. It's already up here with me though, where I want it. Creating my little vampire fangs. Thank you, Terry. I'm trying to teach. I'm trying to teach as if we're all sitting in a classroom together, chit-chatting and having fun, you know? You know, as in, like in high school when the teacher's walking around making sure you're all doing the right thing. I'm explaining and I'm walking around making sure you're doing the right thing. By doing it the ways everyone else would do it. So as many different ways as I can possibly do this, I'm going to show you, because that's probably the way you sew, right? So I'm doing it all the ways that everyone else I would see in a class doing their things. So we're going to create that weird fold over. See how it makes that weird look? Because we want this pressed. Just put my finger on there. We want it pressed in. I'm gonna lay it right here. Hold it down because of my fan. Slide that iron right on top of it. Come over to the other side. Make sure I didn't fold it at all. So I'm just going to kind of flip it over and come over on this side. Okay, and we're going to trim off these little dog ears while we're here, because it's just easier to get it done while we're right here trimming all this stuff off. Small part at the top. That's where the piece goes. Right sides together. And if you're going to fold your half point, just fold it over. Put a little notch with your fingernail. It doesn't even have to be big, just a little notch. Fold this one over. You'll know it's the end in half because your diamonds are going to come together. So it's easy to tell the half point with this. Especially for beginners. If you're really that much of a beginner and you really want to do something that looks so hard, which is the hunter star, every way that this could be together, it looks so hard when it's complete. Instead of putting a pin this time, I'm just going to run it through, even though I'm holding my little spot where I put that crease. Run it down 1/4 of an inch. My thing shifted just a little on that end. That is why everybody uses pins. Alright, we're going to keep it closed. See, I know you guys can see this. You have to be able to see it. It puckers. That's what the fabric does. The feed dogs kind of pull that bottom fabric in more than they pull the top. And it's like a millionth of a centimeter, you know. It barely pulls in between each stitch. So it leaves that sticking up funny. Whenever you push it down, it don't go anywhere. It still kind of sticks funny. So you need to give that a little bit of heat before you roll that over, because it really helps it lay so much flatter. It comes out amazing every time. Add a little bit of steam. And there's another completed piece. And just throw it over my pile and bring the next one to me. Keeping it the way we want it. That, as a beginner, like, me personally, when I'm just doing this all by myself and I'm not showing and explaining how it's done, I actually make a whole entire stack. I just take all my pieces, cut them up, I make a whole stack and put them in these piles, where this is all the background is with these on the outside, and then all the backgrounds are my diamonds and the print is on this side. I just make a big stack and I try to just go in order, piece after piece. I pull 3 pieces at a time and just going. So, alright, we're going to put our little fangs over here again. And when I mean fangs, I'm serious. It's either vampire fangs this way, or your little piece that sticks out is vampire fangs this way. No matter which way you do it, they're little vampire fangs. And again, I'm not going to pin because we've already done it with pinning. Just going to slide it in here. You notice I have even slowed down my stitching for you guys. Normally I just rock it through it. I actually put it down in between rabbit and turtle. Right in the middle. So that I can make sure I'm not going too fast. Even though I kind of zip right through projects. And that's why you guys notice I've done so many. Of course, I haven't finished my diamond thing yet. I wanted to make sure that I got everything wrote down for this, and I've been tired, and I did some free motion quilting last night, so yeah. I'm glad beginners can do this. I'm 100% glad. Maybe see you soon. Knocking foot off stuff that. There are several seams I shortened stitch length to 1.8. It really lays flat. Yes, they really lay flat with that shorter stitch. Okay, these we want pressed towards the print, so I'm just going to lay them up here. that up 1 hour away. Come over here. Not last night, the night before when I started putting those pieces together, because last night I really wasn't in the mood, so I free motion quilted. I was pressing and my fan blew my end up right here, and I didn't see it from the back side because of my position, and I actually folded the piece funky, and for some reason it didn't want to come out. It was weird. Okay, we're going to trim these dog ears right now. Get those out of the way. We're going to bring this in. And the reason why we're trimming them off, even if they're on this side, is because when you're putting these two pieces together, like this, and then you go to press that back, we want to try to keep as much bulk away from our solid piece, especially if you're using white. We don't want so much bulk sitting behind our lighter piece of fabric. We would rather have it either gone or to our print fabrics, which are darker, you know. So we're going to lay this right on here. I'm going to make sure I have the same amount on each side. And I do. And I'm just going to bring it over here. So a 1/4 inch seam. Okay, so that gives me 4 so far, so I can start mix matching these with other colors. I'm trying to mix it all up so that I have a nice variety going on with my scrappy look. Okay, so I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to pull from my handy dandy pile here, which is totally messed up now. I think these are all my halves, and these are all my completed ones. Try to put them all together. Okay, so I want to keep all those together out of the way. And we are going to try to match. See? Nice and scrappy. I like that. Those two look great together. So pull that out of the way, and we're going to take these two and we're going to attach them, making sure that you have a background diamond next to a printed diamond. We make sure that they're opposites, because if they're not opposites, this is what it's going to look like. Let me grab one with. You end up with this, which is a totally different pattern. And I actually don't know what the pattern is, because it probably isn't one. It just makes a bunch of squares and stars, scrappy stars. Actually, let's see what it does look like. Out of curiosity, I don't think I have enough of these pieces, but out of curiosity, let's see what we make out of these if we actually did it wrong. You guys can follow me with my dumbness here of seeing what we can create, putting all of the same pieces together. Do I have any more? I have one more. So, nope, that's not even it. I grabbed the wrong one. Right here. So yeah, this is what it would look like if we put them all together wrong. It would create a scrappy star and some squares, which is a scrappy star and squares. And actually, that would be kind of cute. I don't have enough pieces, but that would actually be cool too. Squares, scrappy star. Squares, it still kind of makes a hunter star, but it's more of a scrappiness. But it would be very cute, no matter if you messed up or not, I guess. But then you would have these ones that come together as well. And these would be solid, so I don't know. It would look okay. I guess that's a future idea for another project. Cut up the same exact way. So anyway, I was putting this one with, oh my, where did it go? This one. No. We'll do these. That's good enough for me. It's the two colors. They don't matter as long as two different colors are together. Oh, okay, so this is one of, sorry, I'm not paying attention. Okay, so remember I told you I was going to start throwing out quilts that I have made over time. This just so happens to be one of my own designs. I'm going to stand up. It is a baby quilt. And I did the around the world, but I spread the around the world out. So I made it here, followed the line, came here, and this is made with a 30s reproduction print. I totally do not remember the name offhand right now. I think it's Everything But the Kitchen Sink by, oh my god, what is the lady's name? I don't remember, but it's super duper cute. Added the yellow, and then I just quilted it around all this with a color changing thread. So the color goes with all of these colors in here. They're super bright. This has never been washed. It is freshly just off the quilting. And the back is a large print of leaves. And then I bound it with black only because there was so much black in a lot of these prints. So yeah, like I said, I was just going to start throwing, even though most of them are all baby quilts because I have a ton of baby quilts, I just figured I'd bring some and throw them right here on the end of the bed so you guys can see more of, this is what I did, gosh, this is like 2.5 years ago. So this is when I was still a beginner. That's why you can see a lot of wrinkles to it, wrinkliness. But yeah, this was a long time ago, and I've excelled from there, obviously. But yeah, it's a kind of a version of a around the world slash something. But I laid them out and I thought it looked cool like that, so that is the way I left it. So, okay, let's get back to these blocks. Remember, opposite colors. We don't want next to each other. We saw what it looks like. It looks cool, but adding the other solid next to it would kind of look weird. So you'd probably make 2 different quilts, one with the solids and one with the ever for twins. That would actually be kind of cool for someone who's having twins. So again, we're going to lay these right sides together. And remember, we pressed these towards the print and these ones toward the print this way. So they are going to nest up just perfectly. You like literally cannot go wrong. They come out the same. And when you stretch, see, don't do that. We just want to lay it nice and flat. Okay? We're going to do a pin just because this is one more piece that we're doing correctly. And so far my pinning seems to be going correctly. Like I said, I don't usually pin. It's not something I do. I think it just takes extra time. I don't know. Just seems like it's taking too much of my time, so I don't really do it. Throw my pins in there, align my diamonds. Remember that pink edge is going to be out, but that all gets trimmed off. Make sure we sew that nice 1/4 inch seam. Come up to that pin, take it out. I literally have this machine so slow from this is the slowest. Oh. I'm going to normally zoom through it. When I'm done and I get to go do some more, I'm going to zoom through it. But I'll come back again because this is a project that I am walking you guys through. And I will give you homework. As in any teacher, giving you homework. For those of you that are going to follow along to this, you will have homework. Don't worry, it's not a lot. I mean, yeah, it is. It's making 84 squares. It's 2 from each 10-inch block. I'm going to make this straight. Now that I have it together, oh, give it some steam. I mean, some squeak again. That's what I'm going to start saying. I'm going to give it some squeak. Screw pressing, my new word is squeaking. And there we have it. Another block. I like those 2 colors together. I don't know why. This color, I didn't even have to look at my layer cake to remember what colors were in it. And I'm sorry, but my husband doesn't like the butter color. I seem to think it looks amazing. And once it's all together, it's just going to look more old-fashioned. It's not going to be, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be, it's going to be eye-popping, eye-catching, obviously. But I don't think it's going to be dull and boring. It's got some fun to it, so. There's another block done. Let's see. I'm trying to mix these colors up very well. So we'll put these 2 together. I still have like a bunch of colors to put together. So I'm trying to just make a pile. But just for you guys being here, we're going to make sure we do a couple of them. So I'm going to throw a pin in here, making sure my seam is nicely nested. Throw this one in here. Feels nice and flat to me. Okay, I'm going to lay it over here, making sure my diamonds are sitting nicely. Sometimes moving them around, they unadjust. Make sure you're adjusting them as you go. That one doesn't want to seem to be laying properly. So I'm going to give it a slight pull. Not what you think I'd be doing. I am not yanking my fabric. I'm just making sure that the feed dogs are taking in what I want them to take in. Since that one piece didn't come out perfect. It's called fudging it, people. Definitely fudging this piece. Just slightly though. Once you've done it a long time, it becomes easier. So let's give it a squeak. That sounds cool when I say that now. Let's give it a squeak. Now everybody else gonna make their irons squeak. Just so they can be cool like mine. Just kidding. Sorry. I'm like a little kid in the candy shop. I get super excited and say some weird, super exciting things. Let's give it some more squeak. More squeak. There we go. Another block. So let's lay it out one more time for you guys. As random as I can at this moment. Let's see how many more random colors I actually have now. Alright, so we have one of these. Let's use this one. And that one uses that, so we don't want that one. That one has that. So let's grab this one. Remember, they're laying every other, and I didn't trim this yet. I have to trim these two still. Actually, let's trim, then lay out. Duh. I'm getting ahead of myself. It only takes a second to trim them, because remember, we're not trimming much off. So I'm going to lay it this way, and I'm going to lay this one this way. Just going to trim these off real quick. 8.5 inches. Line up your 45-degree line. I should show you from the big ruler, but I don't feel like grabbing it again. Let's lay it on there. That yellow, well, my yellow, should be matching at the top and on the side, and it does nice and perfectly. I've actually been closing my blade too, which is like a miracle for me because I never close my blade. Come around, holding it in that spot without adjusting it, and all we did was cut these little pieces off. Come over and grab this one. Line that line up on that diagonal right there, and again, it's going to come like exactly at the edge of the yellow because we had cut those exact. Those were cut ourselves. Those weren't from a wherever these companies. This is Benartex Fabrics, I think. Yeah, this is a Benartex. I forgot. I had to think about that. Cut off those barely small little pieces, and see all the rest of the dog ears come off. So look at that, just barely. I'm not wasting really anything at all. It's all going into my 8.5 inch block. Now let's lay it out and see where we're at. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so I said I wanted to use that one. Let's put this one in right here. Let's grab another one that's not in there. That one is, but not very much. And if you have it wrong, just turn it until you have the side that's right. So like this way would put two yellows together, okay? Just turn it to the other side, okay? And when you go to put blocks together, it's going to be the same thing. Just turn it and you'll get to the piece you need it to be at. Let's use this one. So there we go. And then after I make all these blocks, which is your guys' homework, yay, is to start making all of your blocks. Start with, if you want to keep them together, you can if you're making a match. But if you're doing scrappy like me, just make all of your half blocks, putting your solid, pretty much, I'm going to call this the solid piece, and I'm going to call this the print piece, in two different piles. So I'm going to take all my piles and make a solid piece pile, like this, and then And you should have an equal amount of each. And then the print pile, like this, and I'm just going to keep these, I'm just going to keep making them until I have a ton, and then I'm going to scrap them up and attach the two together. Okay, so that's your homework. Just take and the rest of your layer cake, chop it up, go through all these steps all over again, but on your own, making all of these. Once you do this like 6 or 7 times, I'm telling you, you're just going to zoom right through them. It's so fast. This is the easiest way I have found to make a hunter star. The easiest. I've tried it another way, so this is the easier way. So again, just making 2 stacks if you're doing scrappy, and just keep going and going and going. Once you have that done, then assemble your blocks. Then when you get to your blocks, which I will be faster because I will get this done as fast as I can, like normal. I speed my machine back up and come back and show you guys how to lay it out and connect them. That will be the next step. So if you're following along, yes, okay, this is one of those yard sale, like extra tables from Walmart or wherever, and it's like, look, I'm just barely pressing under here. Like, my machine is literally sitting right at the fold, and that side of the fold, it's a good thing it's on this side of the table, because that side of the fold has a big lump. Like, the table is really messed up. My husband uses these for yard sales every year, and then we use it when we have company and family for, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas and stuff, so it's kind of warped. So, yeah, every time I do anything, like, you could see it bends. And right here, I have a machine where the right here is sitting kind of because the table is sitting like this. It's literally coming like this, no matter how those pieces are folded in there. It sits like that, so the machine, I have this part at the top of it so that this lays flat, because this side starts going down, so these can sit down and nice and flush. Yeah, that's my table. So when I move around, if my cuts end up off at all, I'm blaming it on the table, because it literally is the table the problem. It's best to have, if you are a beginner, a kitchen table, a countertop, anything that has a nice hard surface. These tables are great for travel and family and stuff, but they're not meant for quilters who use rotary cutters and need a flat, solid surface. So yeah, well, after a while of use, like, this is literally like a 10-year table. That's how long it's been still going. And I use it for this too, because when I set it up in the garage, was it last year? It was the year before. I was doing Christmas quilts for family members, so I had my machines kind of separated everywhere. And I was working on a free motion quilting project and a long arm project. I was doing too many at one time, trying to get them done, and so I needed this table because I didn't have my big, huge table at the time. And yeah, this table come in handy, but it definitely moves around. So, yes, I believe that this is going to be awesome. Like, in person, this butter color, it seems kind of annoying. Like, it really does. But mixed with this print, like, every single one of these colors that are in here, literally, this junk next to that, they are beautiful with it. I don't know why, but I was thinking of green at first, but then I was like, there's a lot of green in here. So look at this, the stripe, even the stripes, because it already has that light color in it. It's gonna look absolutely beautiful. And the stripe one will sit different. Well, it should sit, all the stripes go in the same way, so it should be good. But even this one with the browns, it matches that butter color perfectly. This one's a lighter one of what's already in there. Here's some green stripes, but it has this light color in it. I think I did really good with my choice. It seems like annoying. It's a Benartex. It might be in my trash still unless my kids took it out. Benartex. It doesn't actually have a name. All right. Marcelli. Marseille. And you know, Miss Rodriguez knows I cannot pronounce names of things very well. So yeah, this one's better text. I'm going to write it down on this. That way I'll remember for later if I have to say it again. Marseille. Marcelli. That's what it's called. Marseille. Okay, I got that right. So yeah, if I need to add another color, if I wanted to for a border, I just go online and look at this lineup, I guess, and find more fabric for it. So there you have it, guys. This is how we're making the Hunter Star. Your homework is to go ahead and make your half stars, and if you're matching colors, then you can make your whole ones. Go ahead and make all of it into half ones, then piece them into whole ones. Okay? So make all your halves, make a big pile, and then put them together. If you're matching them, match them. If you're not, and you're doing Scrappy like me, just start sewing them together as Scrappy. Okay? Exactly with all the steps I have shown you. Making sure all of your projects stay in front of you. This one is so easy to keep it right there in front of you, like you literally have 1, 2, 3 steps, 3 seams, and then the 4th one is this, technically. So, I mean, 3 seams, bam, done. A really hard looking quilt done super simple with 10-inch pre-cuts, guys. 10-inch pre-cuts. So this is not a very hard project at all to complete. I'm trying to get the plastic off this while we're talking. I don't want all this plastic. Anyway. So yeah, that is your homework. I know you can do it. It's beginner friendly, and it's super friendly for not beginners too, because it's quick for non-beginners. Like this is a day project. Seriously, one day. Like if you had a whole Sunday like today for me, I'm pretty sure you can have this done in a whole day. If not, I'm giving you all a couple days anyway. We will come back in a couple of days and I will show you how to lay it out and put it together. So, yeah, it shouldn't be hard. I'm going to actually put this in my book. Yes, tomorrow I'm hoping we can barbecue holiday. I'll put that in the book right where I put this so I know what I've been doing here on YouTube. So I don't do it all over again. Also, I figured I would ask while I'm here, if there is anybody who would like to see me make something specific, put it down in the comments or message it to me on Facebook or wherever, as long as you get to message me. If you would like to see me do something specific because you're looking to make something, just let me know and I will do my best to find, and or if it's like a one-block wonder quilt, you know, I will do my best to explain you how to make it. So if anybody wants to see something specific, just ask. I will do my best to show you. Obviously, it happened in between my planned projects and not planned projects, but do your homework. Get this done, guys. I'm serious. I know all of you have a layer cake around and 3 1/4 yards of a solid that goes with your layer cake. I know you do, because I did. So I know you do. So get it done. This is going to be so awesome when it's done, and it's so simple to do. Like, I literally have made this the easiest Hunter Star possible. So, and with my direction, I'm pretty sure you can't mess it up. So, thank you everybody for watching. I love you all, and thank you for coming over. You guys can even share my videos on other social media to get me out there. If you know someone who wants to learn and needs an easier route to learn, send them my way. They can like and subscribe, and it's amazing because I have 53 now. This morning I got on, I had 53 subscribers. Baby! I'm getting there. So, love you all, and take care and have fun making the Hunter Star. Super simply with an 8-point star without any other extra seams. So, enjoy. Have a good holiday and the rest of your Sunday today, guys. All right. Bye-bye.